change your heart, change your life, change the planet.
So when we think about our goals, when we think about going from point A to point B, this is the thing that I want over here, what our brain does is it keeps removing detail, it keeps removing information until it gets down to the very essence. I have A, and I want B. And there's simply space in between, and all I need to do is keep my eye on the prize. I need to look at B and just keep moving in that direction. Or as Socrates once said to a guy who asked him how to get to Mount Olympus, and he said, just make sure that every step you take is in that direction. But the reality is, we can't take every step in that direction because everything's moving, everything's changing, everything's in a state of flux or flow, and everything is uncertain. And that's perfect because that's the way it is, not the way it should be, but that's the way it is. So when it comes to representing this goal from A to B, what we've done is we've removed the vast majority of the detail so that we can see it clearly. And that's really useful to do. In fact, that's what mathematics is. Mathematics is an abstraction of reality. It's a reduced data set. Mathematics is, okay, I don't need this, I can throw all these things away, and what's left is just the pure essence. And I'll do my calculations on that. But then if I want to take it back into the real world, well, I need to flesh it out again. I need to add the bone, I need to add the muscle, I need to add the skin and the hair, and it's like, okay, now it's a real world object. It's no longer a reduced data set that's easy to calculate with. Our brains are really good at this, throwing away information and saying, aha, this is all that matters. This is the heart of the matter. That's great when you're brainstorming. That's great at step 1. Just to figure out what step 2 might look like. But step 3 is far more complex than step 2. Step 4 is far more complex than step 3, and you get this exponential progression where you might start with 1, and then you go to 2, and then you go to 4, and then you go to 8, 16, 32, 64. So if we look at step 1, and if we look at step 2, we can conceptualize, we can use abstract reasoning to come up with a pretty good idea of what step 2 might look like, or what the result of step 1 might look like, leading towards a step 2. But if we try to predict what step 16 is going to look like, or step 64 is going to look like, it's beyond comprehension how complicated that step is going to be, how many variables are going to interact and completely disrupt our plan. So conceptualization and rationalization, this abstraction of reality, really good for short steps. Really bad for long steps. Really bad for projecting way off into the future. But really, really useful to go from here to here. And from here to here. And you keep resetting the start line. And if you do that, you'll get somewhere. Can't guarantee that you'll get to the point you want to get to, but it won't matter because you'll be present along the way. And when you're present along the way, you get information. And information informs you. It changes your shape. It changes your experience. It can change your desire. It can change your intention or motivation if you're open to it. So the moral of this story is to realize that perfection is a reduced data set. Perfection is not some concept that is larger than life or better than life. Perfection is an idea that is smaller than life, that has been reduced, where much of what makes life worth living has been taken away because it's inconvenient for the processing that we need to do, because there's way too much information for us to process. So we're like, phew, let's just clear it out and get this laser myopic focus right here. That's it. Point B is the only thing that matters. And man, are you going to miss out on a hell of a lot of great stuff along the way, because it doesn't look anything like point B. It's not that we're invisible, it's just simply that we're uninteresting. People are like, yeah, I see you, and I really don't care. You're not bringing anything to the table. And I'm not knocking introverts. Please don't hear that. I'm a huge fan of the introverted brain, but it can be challenging in extroverted social situations.